Good morning, welcome to Catex TV. My name is Frank Fortunato. Today is Thursday, March 12th, 2015. If you want to follow us on Twitter, go to Catex TV. U.S. Secret Service, the organization charged with protecting the president, the vice president, and a number of other people, is under fire again. Two of their agents, including one member of the president's actual protective detail, apparently crashed their car into a construction barrier at the White House on one evening, a weeknight, last week. They had been returning from a night of carousing and drinking. They had been assigned to desk duties. Michael Millette, who had been the former head of insurance-linked securities at Goldman Sachs for a number of years, is forecasting there's going to be $150 billion of insurance-linked securities, both alternative capital and third-party capital, coming into the reinsurance market by the year 2020. That's 5 years from now. Mr. Millette says that this is actually aligned with other forecasts that we've seen, including Aon Benfield, that says that about $100 billion is going to come in over the next 5 years. The interesting question now is how that's going to affect the reinsurance marketplace, given the impact that the current $65 billion of alternative capital has had on the market. What will an increase of another $85 billion do? Mr. Millette predicts that once we get there, there will be less anxiety about it than there is today. The reinsurance world as a whole is changing very rapidly. Scor, the big French reinsurer and insurer, has reshuffled its global property and casualty team following the retirement of Yvan Besnard. Mr. Besnard was the chief underwriting officer for the company, and quite a gentleman at that. He has been replaced by Umberto Gavazzi. He is coming internally from Scor. He's going to report, as did Mr. Besnard, to Victor Peña, the chief executive officer of Scor. Laurent Rousseau has been appointed Chief Underwriting Officer for EMEA Property and Casualty Operations. He had been the current head of Strategy, Marketing, and Development at Scor Global P&C. All of these people, of course, report upwards to Denise Kessler, the Chief Executive Officer of the group. In Russia, in Kazan, there has been a fire at a shopping center that has killed at least 25 people. They're buried under the rubble of a shopping center that caught fire in Russia yesterday. Actually, earlier today, I take that back. The emergency workers are digging through the rubble right now. 200 people have been evacuated from the building. Kazan is the capital of Russia's Tatarstan region. At least 41 people have been killed in Tanzania in a bus accident when a bus and a truck collided on a busy road about 275 miles away from the capital of Dar es Salaam. Tanzania is Africa's second biggest economy. Traffic accidents are very common there. The estimated loss resulting from tropical Cyclone Marcia in Australia has been increased to about 403 million Australian dollars. That's about 310 million US, following an influx of claims. This is according to the Insurance Council of Australia. They're now dealing with approximately 30,000 claims after Cyclone Marcia struck the Queensland coast as a Category 5 storm last month. Queensland's largest insurer is Suncorp. They had stated that it expected their losses to be about 120 million Australian, and possibly as high as 150 million Australian. Their peer, Insurance Australia Group, said that they anticipated their net claims from Marcia could also be as high as 90 million Australian. The deterioration in the property catastrophe insurance and reinsurance pricing, which has been exacerbated by the excess reinsurance capital coming in that Mr. Millette spoke about, has yet to reach a bottom. This is according to analysts at Morgan Stanley. Equity analysts from Morgan Stanley have suggested that there is more room for rates to decline, particularly as alternative reinsurance capital and insurance-linked securities continue to compete for core property line and perils. They said property cat reinsurance pricing is under great pressure. The expectation is that the continued decline in pricing will result in pricing running at or below the technical levels required for insurers and reinsurers to maintain margins. That's not good news. Meanwhile, yesterday, the sun unleashed its first super powerful flare of the year. The intense eruption is aimed directly at Earth. The monster X-class solar flare, which is the strongest category of possible sunstorms, peaked at about 12:20 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time yesterday. The sun has fired off a number of medium-strength flares over the last few days. Yesterday's event ratcheting things up a notch. It actually caused about an hour-long blackout in high-frequency radio communications over wide areas. This is according to scientists with the U.S. Space Weather Prediction Center. Solar flares are often accompanied by things called coronal mass ejections. We've spoken of them before, CMEs. These are enormous clouds of superheated plasma that streak through space at millions of miles per hour. The radiation from a solar flare will reach Earth in just a few minutes. Typically, however, it takes the coronal mass ejection several days to get here. When one of these things arrive, it can cause geomagnetic storms that disrupt power grids and satellite navigation. It's unclear at the moment whether or not a coronal mass ejection is associated with the event yesterday. However, authorities have also already issued a magnetic storm warning for tomorrow as a result of the 3 CMEs that the sun unleashed on Monday. So we could have some bumping of transmission problems. We'll see. That's the news for today. If we have any breaking news, we'll come back and tell you. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.